Johnny Gargano no longer with NXT. Last night on NXT 2.0, while Johnny Gargano is giving a heartfelt farewell message to the NXT universe, he gets viciously attacked by Grayson Waller. Plus, on AEW Dynamite, MJF gets cheered in his hometown of Long Island, and Daniel Bryan takes out another member of the Dark Order ahead of his match against AEW champion Hangman Adam Page. We're going to jump into all of this and more tonight on the Debrief.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
What's going on, everyone? It is the Debrief here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm your host, G. Next to me, Rico el Glorioso, the top Chico himself. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for joining us. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that notification bell. Help us get to 25,000 before the end of the year. We're really close. We're right there. So go ahead, head on over to YouTube, like, share, subscribe, smash the notification bell. We got tons of content dropping on the daily. But guys, welcome to the show. We had a jam-packed AEW, a jam-packed NXT 2.0. Rico, you saw War Games. You saw what everybody else saw. Before we jump into all of that, what's up, Broski? How are you?
Oh, man, good, man. We are on the road to winter is coming, as if it wasn't already here. But we're 1 week away from another awesome AEW special event that we're going to get on a Dynamite. And it's getting closer and closer. It's the end of the year, close to the holiday season. You're in the festive mood. I see it in your background there.
Boom.
You got
right
the
there.
Christmas tree going up. It is the
Right
current
there.
WWE champion. Man, it's a good week, and we got a lot of good wrestling ahead of us. But how are you doing, Jose?
I'm doing great, man. Ready to jump into all of this. Let's talk about Dynamite, man. Dynamite was a pretty good episode. The go-home show for Winter is Coming, set for next week. We were in Long Island, New York tonight, the home place of not only Johnny Hungy, but we also got the home place of one Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. And the crowd was definitely hot for him. Not as hot as Chicago, according to CM Punk, but CM Punk came out to MJF's music just to troll the Long Island people. Not only he was trolling the Long Island crowd, but he was trolling the Long Islanders, the Islanders hockey team, because they seem to can't get a win for the longest time, and that just didn't sound. But anyways, CM Punk trolling the Long Island crowd. He was like, I thought you had more in you, but Chicago's just way better. What did you think, man? I kind of have to tend to agree with him, man. That when you hear the roar of a Chicago crowd compared to the mini roar that we got from MJF, it was kind of evident. However, I almost felt this was Punk's job to rile up the crowd in order for when MJF did come out, he can get that pop. So I think that's what he was doing. He was working the crowd, getting him riled up. What did you think of this opening segment tonight?
I thought it was great because this is, you flip the script because CM Punk is the babyface, MJF is the heel going into this whole thing. And this is the one place where MJF is really going to get cheered because it is his hometown crowd. And of course, it's not going to be as loud as Chicago because clearly, Punk is who he is, and it's in Chicago. He's the babyface. He's so over, and he pointed out plenty of times. However, MJF, he's hated. So even in his own home city, even in New York, people are going to want to boo him. But at the same time, he's from New York. People want to cheer him. So that's why he kind of got like a real mixed reaction. And they were trying to do chants that CM Punk couldn't hear. I could barely make out what they were trying to say half the time.
I know.
But CM Punk comes out like the heel. He's the one running down the sports teams of the location that they're at. And it works so perfectly for this feud. And, only in this one place is CM Punk going to be this like level of heel until he officially turns heel. But as a babyface, it works in this dynamic, in this weird kind of like Twilight Zone-esque area where CM Punk comes out as a heel, runs down the town, runs down the local boy, even though he's the babyface. So then when the heel comes out, just like you said, it was all to build up when he came out because he had a great video package, by the way, before his
That was
entrance
hilarious.
into
That
the Dynamite
voiceover,
Battle Royal.
I could only
So
imagine the guy that was doing that voiceover. He had to stop and laugh several times. That's easy, like a 10 or 15 take type of situation, because I would be dying laughing in the
It
studio.
was so good.
But
Yeah.
it was a very good promo, a nice little vignette there that they had on the side before MJF made his way into the ring for the Battle Royal, which, by the way, was a pretty damn good Battle Royal. But now we know for the third time in a row or fourth time in a row, MJF will be heading into the match that will determine who will be the winner of the Dynamite ring. But it was a pretty damn good Battle Royal. We had the final three were MJF, Ricky Starks, and Dante Martin. How about that swerve there with Leo Rush and Dante Martin? I kind of thought that that was in the works. I kind of felt like, okay, these two, why would he just sign so quickly with Team Taz? These two kind of have something in the works, and we got to find out what happened there. But a lot of little stories told in this Battle Royal tonight.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Like you said, like putting on these little, keeping these storylines still going. We had like Leo Rush being the one to eliminate Powerhouse Hobbs, and of course he winds up getting eliminated. And then MJF gets cheered for everything he's doing in the hometown. He even eliminated his own bodyguard in Wardlow as Wardlow was taking out Lee Johnson and Leo Rush at the same time. But then it put the odds against him because it was just MJF versus two members of Team Taz. And even though Dante Martin came out with some fresh Team Taz gear, it didn't last long because right as it looked like they were going to double team Ricky Starks and Dante Martin against MJF, Dante hits that swerve. I didn't think it was going to happen here. I thought, again, we were thinking about like a longer story when his brother would eventually come back and try to win him over. But it looks like this was his plan all along, was to have the numbers game possibly in this Battle Royal. And when the opportunity struck, Dante took it. And, of course, he wound up ripping off the armband, so he's back to being a babyface. But MJF did such a good job here because he not only after it came down to those two, he started strutting around the ring because he's, for the third time, going to be in the finals for the diamond, for his diamond ring. So he's hopefully not going to be losing it. And he winds up shaking Dante Martin's hand. It's like, okay, so a bit of sportsmanship. He goes up the ramp. Ricky Starks winds up attacking Dante because, of course, he turned on him and Team Taz. Taz on commentary is upset. MJF does the whole struggle. Like, should I go down and help? No, I'm not. I'm not a babyface. Should I? But the crowd cheers him. He just takes off like a speeding bullet, gets into the face of Ricky Starks,
pushes him
down. Pushes him. They shove each other, and then they both beat down on Dante Martin, which of course brings out CM Punk. And then CM Punk and Dante work together, wind up hitting Ricky Starks with the go to sleep. So I enjoyed it. This was a really entertaining Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. I'm interested to see how this matchup is going to work between Dante Martin and MJF, because you kind of assume it's going to be a three-peat, but you never know. They could give the rub to Dante Martin, especially what happens, but probably shenanigans with Team Taz and everything. So expect a three-peat. I think this is going to be the one thing that MJF does every single year until Wardlow betrays him. Like, Wardlow's going to be the one that wins that Dynamite Diamond ring. But until then, he could probably win this thing every single year.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be mad about it. He's kind of like the guy that's kind of made that ring, that gimmick that the Dynamite ring is, pretty cool. Let's talk about some of these matchups in the Battle Royal, though. Powerhouse Hobbs and Wardlow. The two powerhouses of AEW. These are the two behemoths of that promotion, and they were going back and forth at each other, trying to shoulder tackle each other. They weren't, none of them were budging. I thought, dude, I kind of want to see this on a bigger scale. I want to see this, 10, 15, maybe 20-minute matchup between these two, because I think these two can do something special.
Oh, just brawl it out. Just two big, beefy guys in that ring. We saw just a glimpse of it here in the Battle Royal, but that's going to be a dream matchup coming up very soon.
Yeah, man. Let's get into some of these other matchups that we had today on AEW Dynamite. We had an 8-man tag team match. Jurassic Express and the Varsity Blondes with Pillman rocking the most powerful mullet in pro wrestling right now, going up against the Acclaimed and 2.0 with the Acclaimed Platinum Max dropping some bars on Governor Cuomo in New York. Oh man, Every time he drops a bar, I always get a nice little chuckle. Jurassic Express and Varsity Blondes got the win on this one. 2.0 and Daniel Garcia attacked Eddie Kingston backstage after Eddie Kingston caused a little distraction outside for both the Acclaimed and 2.0. So that's going to happen later down the line. But it was interesting because Santana looks like he got involved. So it looks like we're getting a little LAX reunion with Santana and was it Ortiz? I think it was Ortiz.
It was Ortiz, yeah.
And Eddie Kingston. So that should be cool.
Yeah, and they're from New York too, so it made all the sense. Which it kind of sucked that they didn't have Santana and Ortiz together on the show, but that's fine. It looks like they're building something here. But yeah, Daniel Garcia tried to get involved in that match. Eddie Kingston, to big pop from the crowd, winds up taking him out. But as he's getting in the camera, and Ortiz is like trying to get him to calm down for some reason, they get attacked from behind. So yeah, I could see this becoming a 6-man tag match between 2.0 and Daniel Garcia and LAX and Eddie Kingston, which I think would be great. It just kind of stinks it wasn't on tonight's show, because I think that would have been another great 6-man tag match that they could have had here.
Yeah, man. And then off the heels of that, we had another multi-man tag match. The Young Bucks, Adam Cole and Brandon Cutler versus Chaos, Chuck Taylor at Rocky Romero, with the Young Bucks getting a win in a hell of a tag team match. I thought this was one of another really great matchup, but it was the return of Trent of Best Friends that made the night in that matchup, with mom bringing her down with Sue in Sue's van, driving into the stadium, and Trent got a nice little reaction. Trent looking shredded, looking great. He had spinal surgery, looking like he's not lost a beat. He hit a spear. He hit a couple of moves. He looks great, and I'm glad that Trent is back.
Oh, yeah, and without the hair, too. He's going with the little buzz cut going on here. But, yeah, I thought that was great. Bringing Sue. They keep her around, which I think is awesome. So, of course, the even better spot was at the end. So after Trent helps clear out the Super Click away from ringside, and we have all the best friends, Chris Statlander actually brought Sue from the van to the ring. And they got to do a big old,
that was so cute.
Big old family hug there, because you got to give the people what they want, Jose. And especially when you include Sue, Chris Statlander, Wheeler Yuta, and the return of Trent. I thought it was great. I just kind of wish now they could have done like a little backstage segment with Rocky too, but that's fine. It's okay. He was there. He was there for the hug, so they couldn't expand any more on it. But yeah, it was a good spot.
A couple other things that went. Excuse me. A couple of other things that went down on tonight's Dynamite. We had a couple backstage promos. FTR and Tully Blanchard calling out the Lucha Brothers because the Lucha Bros have not been able to beat them. They do have a tag team match for the AEW titles coming up this Friday night at Rampage. We had another backstage segment with Ruby Soho getting interrupted by the Bunny and Penelope Ford. They're actually going to be teaming with Nyla Rose on Friday for a 6-woman tag team match versus Ruby Soho and 2 other members that she can find, which now we know it's going to be Anna Jay and Ty Conti that's going to be teaming up with Ruby Soho this coming Friday night. And then we also had another interview with Tony Schiavone and Sammy Guevara right on stage on the ramp. And this was actually a promo that led into America's Top Teams and the Men of the Year doing a promo between each other, because now that we found out that Cody is going to be accepting or going to be added for the open challenge for that TBS title, Tony Khan made the match official. Cody will be challenging for that title again, and then that's when the Men of the Year started bitching and complaining about that. And he also dropped some news that Dan Lambert is coming back.
Such a heel, man. Cody just coming out all smart. Hey, we're both good guys here. Oh, I love it. I love he's
how he's going to walk through the heel tunnel, and he reminded, oh, no, I got to turn around.
It was so good. He understands. He's playing us. So just like we were talking about, last week about the reaction to Cody, he's fully just going full into the heel turn, but doing it in a babyface way, which I think is great. But Ethan Page made a good point. Like, of course, here comes Cody, and he wants to answer the open challenge, because why not? It must be nice being an EVP and being best friends with Tony Khan. So he had some very valid points, and I think him having a match with Sammy Guevara is going to be a good match. I mean, probably not going to see him win against Sammy, but Sammy versus Cody should be a good match too. And if you're setting up the 4 pillars, then you need to have somebody like Cody do the rub to Sammy. But if you want to give him the extra heel heat, even though he's not a heel, taking that title back is going to get him a lot of heat. So
I think so.
We'll see how this plays out.
A couple other things that went down backstage and interview-wise. We did have an announcement. Taz announced that Hook will be making his in-ring debut on Dynamite against Fuego del Sol. Twitter started going crazy about this announcement. And guess what? Do you know what they call Hook fans?
What do they call them?
Hookers. So apparently there's a whole community of hookers, not in the sexual way, but fans of Hook on Twitter. He's like super over on Twitter. So Hook fans,
is it really?
Watch out. Yeah, dude. I had no idea about that. But yeah, there's a pretty big following for Hook on Twitter. So yeah, so that was announced. And then Tony Schiavone had another interview with the Varsity Blondes this time. Then the lights go out. Malachi Black appears, spits the mist in the Varsity Blondes and Julia Hart's face. Lights go out and he's vanished. Don't know exactly what that's all about. They should have saved this for earlier in the night. If you had Varsity Blondes out earlier in the night, why didn't you do that interview earlier in the night? Don't know why that happened. We had a women's matchup here. Riho versus Jamie Hayter. Good matchup here. Fun matchup for Riho. She now has officially earned her number 1 contendership against Britt Baker. This was pretty much a 3-on-1 matchup, the entire matchup, right?
Yeah, for the most part. And the biggest thing that they kept reiterating throughout the entire match is Dr. Britt Baker has never pinned Riho. So guess what? She's going to make her submit on Rampage with the Lockjaw. So surprise. Or Winter's coming when they're having their women's championship match. But yeah, Britt Baker's winning. Riho's not winning. Sorry.
All right, get into your questions before we get into the main event. Anthony Manzano's asking, Jose, do you think that was a good swerve with Dante and Lio Rush outsmarting Team Taz? Or do you think once Dante's brother comes back that he's going to be a 3-man stable? Well, it should be noted that his brother has been out for several months on injury. Dante Martin has definitely stepped up to the plate when it comes to, putting on some great matches as a singles competitor. I think under the guidance of Lio Rush, he can go even higher. I think this was great, the swerve that he did on Team Taz, because initially it got me. I was like, well, why would he just sign all of a sudden? But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking this has to be some type of setup between Lio and Dante. I wasn't 100% sure. Nonetheless, tonight we got to find out that it was indeed a setup. So yeah, good stuff.
The only thing is, Lio didn't come back and help Dante, though. It was CM Punk that came out and made the save. So, hopefully they'll dive more into the relationship now between Lio and Dante. If if it was a plan all along, or hopefully there'll be more than just he just decided in that moment to turn babyface again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely here. So let's jump into this main event. Daniel Bryan and John Silver. Johnny Hungy putting on a hell of a match against Daniel Bryan to some point where it made me believe that he could potentially tap out Daniel Bryan with that heel hook. He had it in tight. Daniel Bryan did a great job of selling it and making it believable. But Daniel Bryan, bro, what is this, the 3rd week in a row that he main events and closes out an AEW Dynamite show?
Yeah, he stopped. He even went over the list after the match, after he basically KO'd John Silver. Is that Evil Uno kicked his head in. Colt Cabana kicked his head in. Johnny Hungy kicked his head in. And all this to prove a point that he's been a man of his word. He said he was going to stop the head in of every single member of the Dark Order until he had a match against Hangman Adam Page, which we'll have next week. And he stayed true to it. So he made his point in a very brutal and violent way, but he made his point. He has not lied to us yet.
No, not at all. And I love that he continues doing all the heelish stuff that he's continued to do. Hangman Adam Page came out later on to pretty much defend John Silver. Then he got on the mic and said that he's promised to stomp the cowboy shit out of him next week at Winter is Coming. So we good guys know that we do have an AEW title match next week Early prediction on this one, Rico.
Hangman. I love B Dan, but yeah, this is the culmination of the 2-year storyline for Hangman become champion. You're not gonna have him drop it this quickly to Bryan Danielson. As great of a match as it's going to be, because it's gonna be a spectacular match, it's still not time for him to drop the title, especially when you have a CM Punk or an MJF that is waiting in the wings, because in that promo earlier tonight, CM Punk even said, like, I'm keeping an eye on this championship match next week because I want dibs. I want that winner next for that AEW championship, but I got to handle MJF. And admittedly, whoever wins in our match is probably going to be next in line for that title shot. So, it sets up some pretty interesting dynamics. I mean, you would assume MJF beats CM Punk, so you would kind of assume it would be Hangman because it would set up that heel babyface dynamic. But I wouldn't be mad if it was the other way around too, because I would not be mad to see Bryan Danielson versus CM Punk for the AEW championship either. So out of those two matches, any of the results, I'm actually okay with.
It really is a win-win situation for the fans, right? Because any way you look at it, it's going to be good. But from a storytelling standpoint, depends on what happens at Winter is coming next week. Mm-hmm. Both of the veterans can put over these young guys, right? So like Daniel Bryan can put over Page, CM Punk can put over MJF, and then we'll have an MJF Hangman situation, which is okay too, because that really solidifies AEW putting the faith into their talent as opposed to bringing an ex-WWE guy. So that makes a smart choice. However, is the time right to do it at Winter's Coming, or do you wait for Revolution? That's the question. That's what we got to find out now.
Yeah. Plus, it's going to be in Orlando, and they set up some really great events for that weekend for Revolution. So I do kind of want them to hold off to something big for Revolution, so we can hopefully see them in person.
We go into that. We absolutely go into that. All right, guys. If you're just joining us here for the first time, go ahead and sound off where you're watching us from, what part of the world you are tuning in to us. If you're watching us on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your TV, we greatly appreciate you. We thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sportskeeda Wrestling channel on YouTube. We are well on our way to 25,000 subscribers. Help us get there before the end of the year by sharing, and subscribing, and smashing that notification bell. We got great content dropping every single day of the week. Monday nights, we have Legion of Raw with Dr. Chris Featherston and Vince Russo, bro. So they're breaking down Raw. Every Wednesday night, you got us here, Jose and Rico on the Debrief. Friday night, Dirty Dutch Mantel, Rico Chino, and SP3. They break down SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Plus, we got daily top story reports every afternoon, breaking news. And we got tons of content, top 5 and list videos dropping on the daily on our YouTube channel. So go ahead, smash that notification bell, share, and subscribe, so that way you never miss whenever we drop brand new stuff. And if you're on Instagram, give us a follow, because we got a brand new show on Instagram that drops every Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday morning, 9:30 Indian Standard Time, where we have Diamond Dallas Page, bang, with Vince Russo and Dr. Chris Featherstone in the Bro Show. So you can check that out also on our Instagram. So we just got a ton of stuff all the time dropping on the daily for you guys. Let's jump into NXT, Rico.
Well, we got to give it your rating, Jose.
Oh,
we talk so highly of Dynamite. What would you rate it?
I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5. I think it merits. It had good matches. It was entertaining. It flowed. It was nothing like the promo battle that we had 2 weeks ago, but nonetheless, seeing MJF getting cheered and that promo that he had, I think that kind of really made it for me tonight.
Yeah, I was right down the cusp between 8 and 8.5, but I think all the little things they did with MJF, even having CM Punk as a heel, that intro package that he had before the Dynamite Battle Royal, I thought was spectacular. So I'm going to agree with you this time. I'm going to give it an 8.5, especially with the return of Trent. The best friends are reunited, and it feels so good. The only thing that would have made it better, if we would have had a little bit of Miro, but he's still recovering. He's still doing his thing. Hopefully we'll get him back soon, because he would have been a great person. Imagine if we got Miro versus MJF for that Dynamite Diamond. That would have been fantastic. But other than that, I thought it was a solid show. Raw and Riho and Jamie Hayter put on a honestly a better match than I expected, considering all the matches
Mhm.
that they've been putting up for the TBS championship in that tournament. So it was a really solid episode all the way around for AEW.
Stephen Chambers 7 because of no Miro. Yeah, Miro hasn't been featured really on TV now for several weeks. He did have a promo last week. It was like a video promo. Well, he was like in a white background, but no chirp from Miro this week. And I'm tired of complaining about it, so I'm just not even gonna bring it up. So I'm just showing off some of you guys' scores here. We got Paul Main with an 8, Richard Rinaldi with an 8, Ricky Castillo with a 9.5. He's being real generous tonight. Anthony Manzano with a 7.5. Guys, keep sounding off in the comments. Let us know what you thought of AEW tonight. And yes, Ricky Castillo is right. Miro is low-key hurt. He has been dealing with severe neck issues now for a long time, which is one of the reasons why he's not been featured on TV. So, yes, you are right about that. And Christopher and Ryan Cooper giving us an 8 for his AEW Dynamite rating. So let's jump into NXT, because NXT saw the fallout of War Games this past Sunday, which I thought it was a pretty good War Games. We're still back at the CWC. This is the second year in the CWC that they do the War Games. Usually we have this in front of a big, big crowd. I think they did the best that they could with the situation and the space, but it was an entertaining War Games. Opened up with the War Games, closed out with the War Games. Team 2.0 clearly got the win and got the seal of approval to usher in this new era of 2.0 stars. And that was very evident, not only by the opening match of NXT, but also with the closing segment of NXT. As in the closing segment, we had Johnny Gargano being attacked by Grayson Waller. And in the opening match, we had Kyle O'Reilly getting defeated by one Von Wagner in a steel cage match. And by the way, if you guys did not notice, WWE gave you 3 cage matches in a row. Sunday War Games. Monday opens up with the cage match on Raw. And Tuesday opens up with the cage match. So you got 3 straight days of cage matches. I don't want to hear any complaints of anybody saying, WWE sucks. They do the same thing every single day. I hate them. You got 3 straight days of cage matches. I don't want to hear any complaining, because all 3 cage matches, guess what? They were good.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get one on Friday? It's a surprise cage
That's
match
what I was asking myself.
That's
what I was asking myself, because I saw the opening of it. I'm like, oh, okay, another cage match? And I'm like, damn, I wonder if Friday's going to get one too. This is like, it's almost like the complaint that the Raw was like, well, we can't get a War Game, but I want a steel cage match too, because NXT got a steel cage match War Game, so we're gonna do one. He's like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna open up with a cage match too on Tuesday night. So I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna get one on Friday, because it's already like 3 or 4 days past. But that would be funny.
Yeah, because it felt like USA Network was like the more childish out of that, because it was Friday SmackDown, it was a Sunday pay-per-view, and then that's why like Monday, we need a cage match too to make up for it, because why does Fox get in? Why does the pay-per-view have it? We can't have one on USA. I don't think Fox is going to be that petty, as well as SmackDown is doing right now. I don't think they need it. But I would be surprised if we got a surprise cage match to start off SmackDown.
That'll just be hilarious. That'll just be hilarious. But the overall feel of NXT after a fallout episode of War Games, it kind of felt, the only thing that really interested me was the opening and the beginning. Nothing really in the middle kind of kept me engaged in the show. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of vignettes. We had a little bit of fallout from what happened with the hair versus hair match with Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson, going back to a recycled storyline from over 20 years ago with Kurt Angle, getting his shaved off and using the whole wig angle. So we're getting that. So again, nothing really to sink my teeth in. Again, the overall episode was okay. The one thing that really did kind of raise my eyebrow was Bron Breakker, bro. Bron Breakker continues to impress the hell out of me. He challenged Tommaso Ciampa for another rematch since he pinned him at War Games. So now he says that he's one-on-one. The Diamond Mine interrupts Bron Breakker so he can claim that he is the champion. So he's lifted all the weight limits from the Cruiserweight champion. He's really trying to go to any contender that he can go there. And Malcolm Bivens says that Roderick Strong has his eye on him. And Breaker's like, I don't care who the hell I got to beat in order to get Tommaso Ciampa. I'll beat all of you guys right now. You know what? I accept your challenge. So he's got a match next week with Roderick Strong. I'm looking forward to that match. That match should be really good. But Braun Breaker, man, absolutely killing it. Got that solid win on Sunday night. Had a great promo on Tuesday. Even the main roster stars are taking notice of Braun Breaker. You got Titus O'Neil today on the bump saying that he is a future champion. Natalia saying the same thing. Dolph Ziggler singing praises on Braun Breaker on how good he is. What's your take on all of this? How was his performance this week?
It's been great. I mean, he's still getting better on the mic, and he's going to get better with more confidence, more repetition. He's really starting to really own his voice. He knows, he understands. He sounds very much a lot like his uncle and his dad. He's starting to bark on his way to the ring too, to give homage to his dad. He's really falling into this character. And I think the more he, does more promo work, more great matches he has, he's only going to get better and better. And you could tell, just like you said, that they see big things for him. He was the MVP, basically, of that men's War Games match, especially that end, which, by the way, I feel bad for Carmelo Hayes because I'm sure his life flashed before his eyes. When you are in the fairy tale ending, you're lifted up, and the next thing you see upside down is Braun Breaker running full speed ahead right at you. And thankfully, Tommaso Ciampa was timed it well enough and strong enough to throw him out of the way, because if not, he would have speared Carmelo's head through Tommaso Ciampa. But he continues to do good work. Do you think we're going to have an NXT Cruiserweight champion, Braun Breaker? Is he going to be the next, Triple Crown or be able to, the dual-wield belts, but he's going to have the Cruiserweight belt as he
put all the belts on Braun Breaker. Put all the belts on Braun Breaker. Give him the Cruiserweight, give him the North American, give him the main title.
Give him the
Put them all on him.
He just looked like Ultimate Dragon, just holding all the titles of NXT.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, dress him up with all the belts. Absolutely, man. I'm all about it. I think he's doing a great job. Braun Breaker absolutely killed it. Definitely the highlight of NXT this week, because they have a lot of faith in him. But moving along to some of the other things that went down, Brooks and Jensen and Josh Briggs got a win over the Creed brothers, which I was very surprised about that, especially since the Creed brothers have been on such a tear recently. And for Brooks, for Josh and Brooks to get this win over the Creed brothers, man, it was a sneaky win, but a win nonetheless.
Of course, you have GYV over here still with their shenanigans and stealing the tag rope. And the poor guy, he was like, I can't tag. The rope is not there. And the ref is telling him, no, you have to get the corner, grab the rope. It's not here. But of course, even though they did have a weird kind of meeting of the minds, Briggs and Jensen got the win over the Creed brothers. But of course, we got to see a little bit more combination of this backstage as they were in the back celebrating with Jacket Time. Casey Canzaro and Caden Carter had 2 tickets for a concert, whatever. They took them up on it. And then GYV is upset. And now we're going to get a feud between Grizzled Young Veterans and Jacket Time? I mean, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sure. Cool. Should be a good match, but that's a weird way to get to it.
I don't know where the direction or the angle is for Jacket Time. I almost feel like this is exactly what they would be doing in the main roster. They would be stuck doing backstage segments, comedy segments, instead of focusing on the awesome wrestling that Kushida could be doing right now, or the awesome wrestling that Ikemen and Jiro can be doing right now, because both of them are tremendous performers, and right now their time is being wasted backstage exactly like they would be if they were on the main roster on SmackDown or on Raw.
Bro,
sad.
So good. Because she's
very
so
sad
good in the ring, and they're doing this with him. But
we had a big return this week on NXT. Dexter Lumis, Sexy Dexy's back. Faced Carmelo Hayes. He was supposed to face Trick Williams, but Trick Williams apparently had an eye injury. Don't know exactly what the eye injury was. Me formerly working 20 years in the eye industry, I'm not sure if he had a scratched cornea, a detached retina, or anything of that sort. But he looked pretty fine to me. But it was a fun matchup. Dexter Lumis was able to get a DQ win over Carmelo Hayes. And as we look as this story continues, and then we get the culmination and we find out who the shaman is, Rico. And now we know that it is the bro. Riddle is the shaman, giving some words of encouragement to MSK, telling them not to change their ways, to continue being who they are, and they are going to soar higher than what they are. They're mainly worried that they peaked so early, and they're afraid that they won't be able to achieve that height of success again. So Riddle just reassured them, stay on your path, and everything's going to be fine. Fun little segment. Then Riddle is like, hey, what's in the bag, bro? He's like, we'll open it. And they're like, bro. They're like, bro. They're like, bro. So that was fun. So, they were having a nice little smoke session. That was great.
Supplies, Jose. They just have supplies.
Whatever. There was just
you don't have to insinuate. You don't have to assume what it is. They just have supplies that they were partaking and sharing with the shaman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Santos Escobar had a matchup with Zion Quinn. Man, I could not believe that Santos Escobar was able to defeat Zion Quinn, because Zion Quinn is just such an imposing figure. But he does have this story going on with Elektra Lopez on the side. Elektra Lopez, for some reason, put the brass knuckles on Quinn's hand. Not sure if he was trying to help him out or just distract him. And that's the way Escobar was able to capitalize and get the win. But it looks like this storyline is far from over. The sexual tension is there, bro. Like, you see when they look at each other, and I'm like, these two just need to, like, bang and get it over with.
Oh, we're going to get a new telenovela, but NXT style? Instead of Mysterios, now we got a new novela?
La Casa de Electra. I love it.
Right?
I love it.
Because they're playing a really interesting game where...
Please give me a telenovela on NXT, because I think that would just improve the show so much more.
It's just like everything she's doing is very, like, in the gray area where you can't tell if she's doing something on her own or she's doing it for Santos and, like, trying to lure Zion Quinn into a false sense of, security with Elektra. They're doing something really interesting here, and I'm interested to see how it's all going to play out because, yeah, was it all on purpose? Does she really have a thing for Zion? Who knows how they're going to decide to play this that way, but considering what they did, like we said with the Mysterios, we'll see how corny they want to get with this or how really kind of methodical and strategic, like playing a game of chess between Santos, Elektra, and Zion that we can get. So who knows? Who knows how this is going to play out? We'll see.
Have no idea. Steve Chambers commenting on Facebook. Wonder if we may see Santos get kicked out of the faction and put Zion in. I find that highly unlikely.
Hijo de fantasma. That's why it's the god of fantasma.
Yeah, I find that highly unlikely. Plus, Zion, I don't think he wants to be part of a stable. I think he just wants to be his own guy, and I don't know. That's just me. Let's see what happens down the line for Zion and Santos. I'm captivated by the story, especially with Elektra Lopez being involved in here. Let's see. We did have another segment, not backstage, but in the most dangerous area of the entire CWC, Rico, which is where?
Where? It wouldn't be in the parking lot, would it?
Exactly right. It was in the parking lot at the CWC where Carmelo Hayes confronted Roderick Strong because of lifting the weight and the limit, but he just reminded Roderick Strong that he is the A champion. Then we also had another little parking lot situation where Grayson Waller was trying to, I think, hit on this young lady, and this young lady ended up going with the megastar L.A. Knight. Yeah. Ended up getting in that nice red Corvette of him from like 2004. And that didn't sit well with Grayson Waller because Grayson Waller wants to get the hit, which motivated him later in the night to attack Johnny Gargano, not only with the chair, but powerbombing him through the announce table.
Now, Jose, do got a question for you about this women's division. First of all, are you interested at all at this Tiffany Stratton and this little daddy's girl gimmick that we got going on?
I'm intrigued. I'm actually a little annoyed about it, though, because I feel like, okay, here's just another entitled, rich white girl, probably blonde, that's going to get and take a spot from a lot of these other deserving girls that deserve a spot. But she wants to be NXT champion. She's a gymnast. She's a tennis player. She She's an athlete. So you can expect more of this type of stuff to come down the pipeline, Rico. This is what we're getting.
So we'll see if she's able to prove herself, as Robert's letting us know in the chat that, yeah, she's been on 205 Live, which is great. But we'll see how that translates over onto NXT 2.0, because now the women's division is starting to pick up more, because it seems like we might have another challenger for Mandy Rose's NXT Women's Championship, as Cora Jade came out after Toxic Attraction, of course, got the win over Valentina Feroz and Yulisa Leon. She did beat Mandy Rose a couple weeks ago, and she pinned her at War Games. So very much how Braun Breaker's challenging Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship. We do have Cora Jade staking a claim at the NXT Women's Championship. So do you see this young gunner, the youngest woman there, that looked like she dislocated her arm? Because, man, that dive, she was the one that did the high spot. Her and Grayson Waller, the two youngest people in each of their respective matches, had the big spots off the top of the cage. She looks like she is going to get that next title shot against Mandy Rose. Could she pull off the biggest upset like she did before?
I'll tell you right now, I wasn't Team Cora Jade, but I am now. And one of the main reasons is because, unfortunately, her boyfriend did get released during the last round of cuts. But I think that was the best thing that could happen to her, because whatever that story was between her boyfriend and her backstage, it wasn't really hitting. Now what she's doing, I think people are starting to pay attention. Plus, she is doing just as good or right up there with Paige. Paige, at a very young age, 10 years ago, all right, 2012, when she made her Raw debut on the main roster, she won the Divas Championship that very day, okay? And she was only 21 years old at that time, okay? So Cora Jade, 20 years old, already looking like a star, beating your top woman in the promotion or in the brand. I think Cora Jade's probably going to be one of the, along with Braun Breaker, both of them are going to be future world champions.
Future's looking bright for NXT 2.0, but it looks like we're going to be missing a couple of bright spots, Jose. What happened to close out NXT?
Yeah, man. So Gargano giving his nice little speech, reminding, just kind of letting everybody know that he appreciated everyone's support during his tryout and the effort of getting him signed. If it wasn't for the NXT universe, he would never be in a position where he is today. But now that he needs to concentrate on his new job starting February, which is the job of being a dad. And one thing that he made sure that the audience knew was that never be afraid to bet on yourself, because when you bet on yourself, you never lose. And a lot of people can identify with that. But after that heartfelt speech, man, he got attacked by Grayson, got that chair shot, powerbomb through the table. And Grayson Waller standing tall. Way to put over Grayson on your way out.
Yeah. And man, it just sucks. Like, this is going to be the first time in a long time we're going to have NXT without arguably, the heart of NXT, and Johnny Gargano not there.
One of the greatest NXT performers of all time.
The rebel heart in Johnny Wrestling, because there's already been plenty of pictures and videos that have been released on social media that shows what happened after the cameras went off. And, Shawn Michaels came out there and gave a big hug. Kyle O'Reilly came out there too. And we're being embraced by Shawn Michaels. And then there was a moment with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa just sitting down in the middle of the ring. Kind of like those heartfelt moments that we've always seen between them when they run as DIY, especially when they would lose big title matches and they would just sit down in the ring. Like, that for me made it feel more official than it did on Sunday, because after the cameras went off on Sunday, Johnny was just on the top turnbuckle sitting and talking with the crowd, and he said, I have a lot on my mind and I'll tell you guys everything on Tuesday. And it felt like, could he really be resigning or something like that? But everything that we saw afterwards on Tuesday night, last night, it just feels like it's that official. And it looks like Johnny Gargano and Kyle O'Reilly are going to be off to other pastures.
Yeah,
Not to quickly assume where they're going to go, but it's kind of hard to not assume
No.
where they're going to go.
I think only one of them is going to go to AEW. I don't think they're both going to go to AEW. I think Kyle O'Reilly might make his way over there.
Yeah,
Maybe reunite
probably.
with Fish and
Red Dragon's
and
back.
Cole. Yeah, so I think he might end up with AEW, but I honestly think Gargano is going to take some time off to be a dad, have some parental time, have some time with the baby. Candace, her contract's up sometime in spring next year. So I think they both are going to re-sign together at some point next year. I think they're both going to come back to WWE, hopefully NXT, but if they come to the main roster, they will. But I have the feeling that it's going to be both of them signing the same time, and it's going to be probably about a year from now, maybe a year and a half, just to give Candace LeRae some time to get her body back in shape and have her body get back to normal.
Yeah, that seems very, very plausible. You would think, the same way that they were here in NXT at the same time, that the next place that they go to should be the same thing, and especially as brand new parents, because having a newborn baby while you're trying to work a road schedule is not going to be the easiest thing to do. So I think you're completely right there. I easily think Kyle O'Reilly's immediately going to be over in AEW as soon as he can, and Red Dragon is going to be back, especially when you have arguably one of the promotions with the best tag team divisions. Why not have Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish added into the equation with FTR, with the Lucha Brothers, with Jurassic Express, with the Young Bucks? We can keep going on with the tag team. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen in AEW, especially with Adam Cole Baby still being there and all the things they can allude to. It makes the most sense. And like you said, he's married, but he doesn't have any kids. So if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And give some time to Johnny and to Candace, because they've been working their asses off for these last few years. Welcome to parenthood, and good luck to both of you.
I completely agree. Guys, sound off in the comments. Let us know what your score for NXT 2.0 was this week. While I read this comment from Anthony Manzano watching us on Facebook, asking Jose, besides Johnny, who can you guys see on the NXT roster who's an enduring competitor, transition well to being a producer? Because that's what it seems WWE is doing with some of these indie guys. Yes, now it should be noted that we have seen, and we talked about this earlier in the top story, former workers, former pro wrestlers who turn into producers. We've seen the case of Jason Jordan, where he has a debilitating neck issue where he cannot compete. Same thing with TJ Wilson, Natalia's husband. He's also a former worker who produces and has produced some incredible matches. And WWE has had history of hiring former workers as producers. Usually tends to work the best way. Johnny Gargano seems to me that maybe sometime somewhere down the line when he's ready to hang up the boots, I think he can definitely fill in that position of a producer. He has a creative mind for it. He can play a heel. He can play a face. He can do anything. He can put on a great match. He can give you a great promo. So he knows the business in and out. He is a staple of NXT. And I think having him in a producer capacity is something that's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody right now on the NXT roster, to me, it depends on how long LA Knight wants to keep going with Eli Knight. Like, he's getting up there. He's getting older, and there might not be as much space for him everywhere else, and he does feel more like black and gold. That's why they had him on Team Black and Gold as opposed to NXT 2.0. He has plenty of experience. He's great on the mic. So if there's anybody that's going to help any of these younger guys, because remember, NXT 2.0 is going to be all about these younger talent, not indie talent, especially with the announcement of the signees from the new NIL program, the Next in Line program. You see how great LA Knight is on the mic. He would be an amazing person to lead like a promo class, and he could also transition that into being a match producer as well. So anybody on the NXT roster right now, outside of Tommaso Ciampa, because it feels like he's going to want to wrestle as long as he can, because that's just what he loves to do. I think LA Knight would be that kind of guy that could transition from an in-ring competitor to a producer, slash an instructor backstage.
I agree. I think that's definitely a good choice. And I just looked up LA Knight's age. He's the same age as I am, so I would probably be entering this. If I was still in the business that in that active way, I would probably be entering that producer's role as well. I don't know. All right, guys. Let me read some of your scores here. CRC Christopher Ryan Cooper 8. I really enjoyed NXT this week. Let's see what else. Guys, I asked for your scores. You guys didn't put them in. And this is the part of the show where I read off your scores. But while you go ahead and type in your scores, I'm going to be a little bit more judgy this week on NXT. I'm going to give it a 7. The reason I'm going to give it a 7, like I mentioned at the top of the show, or where we're getting into the segment, it started off good. It ended good. It was in the middle, or it kind of lost me all over the place, for the exception of the Braun Breaker segment. Everything else was just kind of in and out. I really didn't feel connected, especially in a post pay-per-view show like this one. I felt like there should have been more established. So 7. Good opening, good close, sucky middle.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit more harsh, and I'm going to say 6.5, just because some of it felt like it was retreading, because we're continuing on with Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson. That's still a thing that's going to be happening here. I think the reveal of the Shaman being Matt Riddle, it makes sense now in hindsight. Now when we think about it, we didn't think about anybody active roster. We always thought it was somebody not active that it could be. Mm-hmm. He fits the total bill to be the Shaman, to be an MSK-like person, which I thought was great. I did like that they were going to be putting some new people in the women's division, like in the women's title picture with Cora Jade. I think that's going to be awesome. But we're still doing the Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa. And yes, I get it. He is going to be the next champion at some point. Now that they're 1-1 and pay-per-view matches, he's probably going to get the win as Tommaso puts him over. But other than that, it's, they're trying to set up these new storylines. And just like you said, it's coming off of the first ever non-takeover pay-per-view for NXT 2.0. You kind of hope that it would do something crazy, hit us, knock some things out of the park. No, it felt like they played it really safe, and they started to develop new storylines between people, but there wasn't anything, like you said, that really captured us, that engaged us. It was really kind of just waiting for A, the cage match, and B, what was Johnny Gargano going to say? What was his message?
And I think that was definitely the main focus this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and not only that it was the main focus, but now we got New Year's Evil that's coming in a few weeks. Okay, yep. So probably next week we may start seeing things shape up for New Year's Evil. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight's show. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us for just a little over 50 minutes here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Engage with the show. Want to see more likes on there, more laugh emojis, more angry emojis? Just go ahead and sound off in the comments as well. Share your this broadcast in your favorite wrestling group if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, share, and subscribe. Smash that notification bell so you never miss whenever we drop brand new content. We got stuff dropping on the daily. Vince Russo, Dutch Mantel, myself. We also got the great Bill Apter from Pro Wrestling Illustrated working with us now here on Sportskeeda, and Dan my Dallas page as well. So we got tons of stuff dropping on the daily for you guys. So thank you so much for joining us. For Rico El Glorioso, I'm Jose G. Catch us tomorrow at 8 p.m. on our Weekends of Wrestling show. That's also going to be live on Facebook and on YouTube. So go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe over there as well. So guys, remember, when you're watching wrestling, make sure you do the most important thing, which is what, Rico?
Enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.